So if I'm doing something my politics and all the life skills versus state, that's what I think.
I'll sit between you and Randy.
Phrases that are very processed. And it's
Vern, how about we
crossed.
swap because the other correction is over there.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll just leave our name tags where they are.
You should know. I don't either. Education. That's the point. Like, that's important. You should. You teach objectively. Yeah. Use their facts. And here's the side of the dishes. Yeah. Yeah. I wish people could do more of that. Yes.
Common voice.
Throw tomatoes.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Garden Valley School District School Board meeting. And now I'd like to take a roll call. State your name if you are here.
Vern Pearson here.
Morris Morgan, yeah?
Kylie Peters here. Okay. Now I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 4, approve and adopt agenda, the current agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda as printed.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Now we need to vote. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 5, consent agenda. A, approval of minutes for September 13, 2022 regular school board meeting and September 27th, 2022 special board meeting.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed and read.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, can I have a vote? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, B, item B, the treasurer's report. Can I have a motion that?
Oh,
we-
no, that the whole consent agenda is A, B, and C.
A, B, C, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
we're approving the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. 6, item 6, letter A, delegation and reports. The superintendent report, Randy Thompson.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of quick things tonight. We don't have a lot. We've completed the first quarter of the school year. Students, faculty, everyone's settling in. We made some adjustments this year, and I think things are starting to come around as we expected. We continue with our areas of focus, safety and well-being, developing positive relationships, and student achievement. And that's one of the things that we continue to focus on. And obviously, we'll have some additional things that we look at as we continue through the strategic planning process that the board has started. So we're looking forward to that. We formed a calendar committee. Kylie's representing the board on that committee. We've got some teachers, parents, community members, and we're going to look at, obviously, we need to get next year's calendar presented to the board sometime over the next few months to be approved. But we'd really like to get on the cycle of having 2 years approved out so that families have plenty of notice as to what to expect in terms of holidays and things like that. We can always make amendments as necessary. And that's kind of where we want to shoot for. But we had some good input in our first committee meeting, and we're going to look at doing a survey to get input from parents, students, faculty and staff, obviously, and the community on what they would like to see in terms of school calendar, holidays, and things like that. So more reports to follow as we meet again. Our next meeting will be November 11th, so I'll update the board accordingly. Enrollment, we ended September with 285 total students. That includes pre-K and Lowman. I looked today, it's at 287, so we've had, it fluctuates a couple here or there throughout the month. We have a smaller pre-K class this year, only 6 total pre-K students. That happens, I'm told, from time to time, we'll have smaller classes. But budget update, the audit is ongoing, it's almost done. We plan to have the auditor do his report at the next meeting in November because we have to report to the state later that week. Now, if we want to do a special meeting, we can do one, but the auditor will do a report to the board, and then we have to submit it to the state by you remember the date exactly? I know it was after the next board meeting, Gabe, I don't know if you remember the exact date.
I don't.
And that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Randy, the calendar committee,
Okay?
are they gonna consider having like the first day of hunting season off?
That was actually brought up in our committee meeting today. It actually was. So,
On your behalf.
yes, we're looking at things like that. Just to let everyone know what we're looking at, there's been some desire expressed to me by several parents to start later in August or even after Labor Day, and then go into like that last week of May or the first week of June to get out. So that would be an option. There's an option of looking at our holidays. Do we want to do all these Monday holidays? For example, we have a Martin Luther King Monday holiday in January, and we have a President's Day Monday holiday in February, right after a big Christmas break. So we could potentially go those 2 days and save some days in the summer. The first day of hunting was brought up as a potential day off. Is that on a Monday, or is that, what day that normally
That
falls on?
varies from year to
Varies
year.
every
But
year.
that was brought up, things like that. And we want to seek that kind of input from the parents and community.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, just asking, and then what was the last thing that you reported on? You mentioned something.
The audit?
Yes, that was for last year, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, last year's audit.
All right,
Okay,
thank you, Randy.
thank you.
Okay, any more questions? All right, moving on to item B, Principal's Report, Dr. Stephen Lynch.
Hello, everyone. Hello, audience. I have a visual, and this is my club.
Hey, Steve, make sure they can see you at home on the video too, if you will.
You're gonna get locked.
Keep going.
Oh, yeah, you can move the cart.
You're gonna have to keep going.
Keep going. Oh, you're getting there. Little more.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is
On
what
the
the
other
board
side of
has.
the
Okay.
Come stand over here. The microphone can hear you better if you're here.
Every single year, we have to report, or we have to give a report to the state. It's called an IC report, and it stands for Idaho System for Educational Excellence. And what it really is a list of all the teachers, students, and what they teach. It's a coding system so that they have this information. Now, when we were working on the IC report, this actually led us to create an infographic, and I just want to share an infographic with you. And so I'm going to be working kind of throughout this infographic. As you can see, our school district has 21 certified teachers in the classrooms. And we just did a simple breakdown. We have 6 males and 15 females. Out of those 21 teachers, we want to know how many years of teaching experience they have altogether, as well as at Garden Valley School District. And in Garden Valley School District, the average is less than 3 years altogether, 2.76 to be absolutely precise. All the teachers combined have less than 6 years of teaching experience, And if we were to actually take out 3 teachers who have more than 20 years of teaching experience, that altogether drops significantly. I want to come back to that part a little bit because this is part of the goals that we have as a principal and the superintendent. Out of the 21 teachers, 8 or 38% have graduate degrees. 4 of them are actually in process right now. So in the next couple of years, we will have 12 out of 21 who have graduate degrees. Of the 21 teachers right now, we have only 2 teachers who are able to teach dual or concurrent credit for colleges right now. And that is our math teacher, high school math, and high school language arts teacher. So right now we have 2,
Math or science?
or science, I'm sorry.
Science.
Math, or
Science
science
and
and
English
ELA.
language.
Yep, thank you for the clarification. Moving downward is looking at the salaries for some of the districts within the state. Right now at Garden Valley School District, our average teacher salary for the 21 teachers is $46,313. Horseshoe Bend, their average is $52,405. West Ada, the biggest school district in the state of Idaho, their average is $55,000. And please note that this information is just straight salaries. It does not include any of the benefits package whatsoever. Boise School District has an average about $64,000. And then Blaine County, which has traditionally been number 1 in the state, they're actually number 2 this year, but they average more than $75,000 per teacher. That is the average teacher salary in those respective districts. Idaho, as an average, we have $54,232. Now, the very, very last infographic, we have Idaho, as we just already mentioned here, but I wanted to compare with the neighboring states. Washington is the highest at over 81,000. Oregon is just under 70,000. Nevada is averaging about 58,000. Utah, 58 and change. Wyoming has just under 61,000. Montana has 53,000 and change. Now, Mississippi has been added on here because that is the lowest paying state in the entire United States. And New York has been added on there because it's the highest paying state in the United States. The point is, for this is that I would like to just draw the conclusions here. There's a positive correlation within the years of teaching experience and then the pay. Our turnover is something that is my number 1 goal that I have written down for myself, and it is to retain the teachers as much as possible. And I've added a little personal mantra for myself. It is to enhance the experience. So if we are enhancing the teacher experience, are they more prone to stay after this year? And that's what we're going to find out in the next several months. But I'll just pause here. Are there any questions for this?
Steve, you have trouble recruiting teachers because of this pay?
Of this location or the pay? Which one?
Garden Valley in relationship to Idaho in general.
Well, right now, there's been a tremendous teacher shortage altogether. And so I think you can state that across the board in terms of the nation and the United States. With regards to Garden Valley, I have a little bit of knowledge, but I'm not sure that I'm the right person to actually answer that question just because of my newness to this district. So I'm not sure I could
And
adequately say
looking at
that.
the applicants we had back during the summer for the many openings we had, it was more of a housing and location issue for people than it was a pay issue.
Okay.
Because we made it clear up front that we pay what we get from the state. We just pass through based on the career ladder from the state. Didn't really have many objections to that at all. It was all about housing and location.
Okay.
Any other questions for regards to this one?
Yeah. Sure. Numbers tell a story,
Absolutely.
but it's not as simplistic as a number on a page.
Agreed.
So to correctly identify or to correctly solve a problem, you have to correctly identify the problem.
Agreed.
And so I think it's a little bit more complex than numbers on a page.
Agreed.
This is a fantastic starting point. Some of the things I wrote down, and these are questions, but it's not questions for an answer. This is just my thinking process and maybe a suggestion towards solving the issue, because the solution to any issue of teacher maintenance is going to come here. And we're going to make that decision. So the first picture that you have, average teaching years at Garden Valley, we have to ask ourselves why. And
Absolutely.
correctly establish. And that is why it's so great that we now have exit interviews,
Correct.
which, yes, it is fantastic that we have exit interviews. Another thing to point out, the last picture, bottom left-hand side, the picture of the map of the US and what teachers earn in different states. That's the legislature.
It is.
That's not a school board issue. That there is strictly the legislature. When we come to Garden Valley, there are particular issues that affect the amount of funds available for teachers. And I know one of the issues, but really, if I identify it, somebody might not like it, even though it is true.
I agree. And
So yeah, I can tell you what one of the problems is, but I can't really tell you,
right.
right?
You're a tease.
And so this is something that I've been aware of since my first school board training, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But it's something that hopefully this school board will tackle. It's something that I've mentioned before. I think we looked at pay increases for coaches some time ago. And in that meeting, I was insisting that we consider teachers first and foremost. But yeah, I'd like to see how we can do this. The other thing, the other part of the issue is you will notice in Republican states, teachers are paid less because of cost of living. So we might be, you might look at Idaho as being a lot lower than neighboring states. What if the cost of living in Idaho is so much lower? I might be wrong, but those are all factors that go into this. That being said, that aside, as part of the solution is, our issue is, how do we keep our teachers here? And it's more than just the number on the paycheck.
I agree. And to your point, exit tickets are one thing, but then what are the steps in between that before it gets to that point? Before I started, I sent out a Google form to all the teachers, and it was a quick inventory of what they wanted and what they needed in order to have a successful year. And I still have that, and I am reconciling with that to ensure that I provide what I can within my center of control. Now, one of the most, consistent response was support in the classroom, the visibility of an admin in the hallways in the classrooms. And that is a challenge in itself to many different scenarios and variables. The one thing that I believe that we have addressed and we are continuing to address is actually leads perfectly to your second sheet, which is actually student incidents. So first and foremost, do the teachers, number one, have a mechanism to actually document incidents into a data system? And for us, it is the use of Alma. Secondly, what are we actually doing with all the incidents? And then looking at and reading every single student incidents, which right now is about, as of today, it's about 260 some right there. I would say more than 95% are actually valid. There's a couple that we need to really clean up to make sure that it's consistent with everyone across every single level, and we are doing that at our next professional development. But that is one thing. Are these student incidents being addressed at the administrative level? And I can say that it has been, and I'm going to show you another document here in just a quick second. We have, once again, close to about 260 some. This was after the week number 8. We had 255 after week 8. It is average about 9 to 10 per day. And that is still a high number, but in terms of the analysis, we still expect this number to be high in that same number. And then once the consequences are to the second or third in-school suspensions or out-of-school suspensions, and even possibility of meeting before this board, then we're going to really see those coming down. Majority of the incidences are from the middle school level. So about 165, or about 2 out of 3 are coming from grades 6, 7, and 8. And this is something that we predicted. Going to the middle one, actually, let me go to this pinwheel right here. About 50% of our all student incidences are level 2. And then some are actually going to the level 3. And those are the ones that really come to my plate. And that's where in-school suspension is almost warranted, almost right away. And then here you can see that close to about 90% of all the incidents are related to behavior. So it's disruptions and disrespect in the classroom or interruptions in the classroom. Do you have any questions with regards to the very top graph? The middle graph is a little bit different. This is where we are isolating the locations in which incidents are happening, majority of them. 1 out of 2 incidences are happening all in the classrooms. So half of them are doing that. There's others such as the playground, in the cafeteria, in the gym, outside. The other 50% occupies various other rooms within the school. Questions with regards to that middle graph? And the very last visual is it's an indicator of the times that it is happening. We have identified that 1 out of every 3 student incidents occur between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. So we're just tracking that. We need to do a little bit more analysis, but once again, it gives us a great data points for the first 8 weeks or almost the first 9 weeks of the school year, so 25% done with the school year. Any questions about any of the second page?
Just one question, Steve. Is there any correlation between the number of incidents and the days of the week?
Days of the week, I don't have it on this one specifically. I think that's a great one to ask for next time because I'm curious to see with that in mind, what does Mondays look like when they come back? And what do Thursdays look like before they take off? Yeah. I would expect Mondays to get higher. Now, in past trends, we will see numbers significantly rise. For example, when they come back from an extended break such as Thanksgiving, or the bigger one is actually Christmas break, I expect a tremendous jump just because they will be away for 15 days, 18 days, and we are going to see that number rise. But I will have that for you next time for sure. Okay. I have one last one, and I think that these numbers is actually really interesting as well. Right now, we have had 45 days of in-school suspension altogether, 45, and actually, based on this week, that number is going to be actually closer to about 53 based on this week. However, of those 45 days of in-school suspensions, there's only 15 students that have had in-school suspensions. And I think another really fascinating data is that only 2 have been repeated. So in-school suspension by that percentage and by that ratio, it is actually working. And then we have actually had lunch detentions as well. We've had 43 lunch detentions altogether. So we are trying to make sure, let me backtrack a little bit. When we see patterns, we actually want to talk to the students first. That's our number one communication. We want to just have just an easy conversation. And then we'll have another conversation. And afterwards, then we'll start to give them the consequences such as a lunch detention or a recess detention. And then finally getting into the in-school suspension. It is very rarely do we give them an in-school suspension. We want to intervene and we want to make sure that there's a communication process. In the elementary, we fully recognize that elementary is very different than the middle school. And this is where Mr. Martin here has mentioned that he said that he has counseled as many students in between classes during their transition. So once again, we are wanting to make sure that there is a conversation, a discussion, rather than just being absolutely hardcore and drop the hammer. And this is where I believe that we have had impact. And this is where I do want to I want to acknowledge a few people. Mr. Martin, who's the ISS coordinator, he came up with this. He is data tracking, and he's done a phenomenal job with this. I just want to make sure that he deserves the recognition. The infographics that you have seen, that is really coming from, number one, JJ Castillo. She has really worked heavily on the IC report. And then Mr. and Mrs. Hennessy have worked to deliver the infographics. So I really want to make sure that those people are getting recognized for the work. Are there any questions with regards to this last sheet? And if you would like something else in the report such as that, I will definitely have that Monday and Thursday figures, or actually the days I'm sorry that I don't have that for you on this report.
Just a question based on my experience.
Well, of course, and I think that is extremely valid. On our professional development coming up here on a week from Thursday, we actually have part of it broken out where we are going to address the incidents, because now we need to start looking at trends and what is it specifically that we need to do. And one proactive, I guess, training or professional development we're looking at is Safe Schools. It's training videos for the staff. One thing that we are exploring, or I'm exploring with them, is actually the fact that what does it look like to actually have students take it starting in the 6th grade and then tiering it every single year afterwards. I think one is bowling that we will have every single year, but then what is appropriate for 7th grade only, 8th grade only, 9th grade? And so we're exploring that so that information is powerful and training is powerful so that we can try to be as preventative as possible.
One question.
Sure.
Total days spent in-school suspension, 45. What's the trend, up or down, or is it flat?
It's actually just, it's just a little bit back and forth. But the students that are going in there are not really repetitious, are not the repeated ones.
Then are there any teachers that have been here before in-school suspension last year and after in-school suspension that filled out the form that can speak during community forum, and just tell us what they are seeing in the classroom?
Well, right now, I think we have one that can speak to that. Another can speak on it based upon being in the school. So certainly, of course they can. I think that's a hint.
Maybe they don't want to.
Can you repeat the question?
Are there teachers that have been here before we had the in-school suspension and after in-school, like now, last year and this year, that have filled out the form that can speak during community forum?
I think, would you be willing to fill out a
Yeah,
community form and speak to
It
that?
has to be prior to the meeting, correct?
Yeah, it would have to be for the
Yeah.
next meeting.
I would be happy to, and I would like to.
And then I'd be more than happy to send an email out to the staff to see if they would like to come and speak to on that behalf.
I'd be happy to from a parent's perspective too.
And then just another comment, I spoke to a parent, she's got one of the, I think a kid is in like elementary or middle school or somewhere there, and she was talking to her daughter on the way home, and the daughter was telling her that one of her friends went to in-school suspension, and the daughter said, I'm never gonna go to in-school suspension. She's got like the fear of the principal when it comes to in-school suspension, and I think that is spreading throughout the school. The word is getting around, it's like, oh no, we can't get away with anything, so thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Steve? Okay, thank you for that great presentation. It's pretty. All right, so item number 7, community forum on agenda items. Okay, all right, moving on. Item 8, new business. A, review and possibly approve goals for superintendent for the 2022-2023 school year.
Madam Chair, since we had a meeting about this and we have discussed this at length, I move that we approve the goals for superintendent for the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'd like to make a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to B, discuss and possibly improve in lieu of transportation payments. Randy can speak to this one a little bit more.
Yeah, these are the families that aren't close to a bus stop that we pay mileage to. So they have to be approved by the board every year. So they're in the packet there.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the in lieu of transportation payments.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, can I get a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. C, discuss and possibly approve purchase of strategic planning service from ISBA.
So this, we talked about at our strategic planning meeting, and training, board training that we had. It's a service offered by ISBA. I did negotiate with them and got it down from 5,000 to 3,500, including the survey and administration of the survey. We do have budget funds available for that. We're specifically given funds from the state every year for things like this, and we will have money available for that. So if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
I would have liked the full board to be here.
Okay.
That's just personal. Also, if we do spend this 3,500, how much funds are left for board training after that? And I know this, you might not have the number, but it would be important to know if we would be able to go to training after that, or does that get paid for us for the year? I'm sorry if, I mean, this is like on the last minute and our budget is this thick and somebody might not know offhand the number.
Yeah, so we get 6,000 from the state. We spent 1,000 on the one board training she did.
I think it was 2.
And then somebody went to training as well.
And we've got, Gabe's gonna be going to the ISBA conference. He'll be the only one going, so there won't be a lot there. But we do have some other development funds in the budget that can be used for this type of training, so.
The development, where does that money come from? General?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's obviously a board decision. You know, if we want to do that.
Is the survey included in this?
It is.
Okay, so if we table this, just for my clarification, then we're not ready to launch out the survey. Is that correct? And our target date to launch the survey is for parent-teacher conferences next week.
Yeah.
To gather the input in the data. Okay.
You know, and we discussed this, but in my recollection, and maybe this is just personally, I wasn't totally sold. I was like, I understand, I like what you're gonna do with it. But should we spend the money? And there might be more training, so I'm waffling. I want you to know. That's why I said it would be nice to have a full board over here. But then it puts us another month
It
out.
puts us another month out, and the value of having that survey to go out to the community, the teachers, the parents, the taxpayers, is to build the strategic plan for the school. So it's all connected,
So,
it's like layered,
yes.
yeah.
So question for me is, why is it so important that we have it for parent-teacher conference? If it's going to be sent out to the entire community, and we have a way to get it to parents, right? We can email them, because I still get those emails. What was the significance? I did not,
We were gonna request, I'm sorry.
I don't think I knew what the significance was to get it out and to get it out for the parent-teacher conference. Because for me, when it comes to a lot of important things like this, I don't like to be rushed to make a decision. So that's just from a personal point of view, and then I kind of push back. But I need to understand why it's important. And I know I didn't ask this question at our retreat.
So just the personal touch of a face-to-face conversation, handing them a flyer, here's a survey, please complete it. You've got an email, it's in your box, but we wanted to have like a QR code on there where they could go right to it with their phone if they wanted, or whatever, just to try and increase the participation. That was the focus of doing it at parent-teacher conference
I think
and the open house.
I honestly think that's really important, that we are able to hand that out, talk to them face to face, and encourage them to fill it out, get it back in so we can use it.
Yeah, and there's also a direct, it's all correlated, right? So Randy's goals weave into the strategic plan, which weave into the survey. It's all this bigger vision picture for Garden Valley moving forward for the next 5 years. It's all connected. Each layer is connected.
Okay. I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the strategic planning services from ISBA.
I'm going to second that motion. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to state it now. I'm going to be reluctant to use funds that come from general fund for board training, as important as board training is, especially with an inexperienced board. But I'm going to be reluctant to use general funds for that training because I'd rather give it to education. So do know in the future, if that comes up, I am going to be vehemently opposed to that.
Question?
Yes.
No, I call for the question. Time to vote.
Calling the question.
Okay. Aye.
Robertson's.
Aye.
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 Okay, so we're passing this and we're moving forward with the strategic planning with ISBA, the survey. Okay, item E, discuss and possibly approve Superintendent Randy Thompson being hired by Harlow's as a
Skip D.
D, going back to D. Review and discuss, possibly amend and approve a strategic planning survey for distribution. So each member of the school board had the opportunity to work on a survey, review the survey.
So I'll just report that I did speak with Mr. Simpson. He said he wouldn't be here tonight. He did not have any suggestions for changes.
Okay.
Chairman Williamson, the same thing. He was involved in, he made a couple suggestions that are already incorporated in here.
Okay.
I didn't get any other suggestions, but we've got it worded so that we can make amendments if we want to tonight here in the meeting and then approve a final version. So
Okay, thank you.
if there's anything you guys want to change in the survey.
I reviewed the survey and I feel comfortable with the survey.
I did too. Same thing.
Madam Chair, I always have problems with surveys, the way questions are posed. And this survey is no different.
Okay.
That's me, I'm the problem. Just the way things are stated, it's not, it's me.
Do you
Because
want,
it's every survey. No, I'm not going to make any changes.
You wanna
to it.
make
I'm
any
not gonna-
changes?
Nope,
okay, you can,
I know I can, but there's going to be so many, it's going to be all about me. Nope.
okay. All right, can I make a motion?
No.
No, I can't. Can I make, somebody else make a motion?
Yeah.
Do I have a
I
motion?
move that we approve the strategic planning survey as currently printed for distribution.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to E, discuss and possibly approve Superintendent Randy Thompson being hired by Harlow's as a PRN as needed activities driver. Randy, do you want to speak to
Yeah,
this?
I brought this to the board last year. I had offered my services. I have a CDL. They have trouble finding drivers. In fact, we're trying to help them now advertise for drivers. They had to cancel an athletic trip last week and a field trip because they didn't have drivers. So one of the issues with them, the board had approved me last year to go on uncompensated because I oversee the contract and it just kind of muddies the water a little bit. So they cannot cover me under their insurance policy unless I am a paid employee. So that's their rule, all right? So I reached out to council and asked what he thought about me being compensated and then returning that money to the district after I'm paid by Harlow's. He was okay with that. He said, there's nothing illegal or unethical about it. It's just a board decision, you know, if the board wants to allow that. And I'm just simply doing this to try and help alleviate the issue of not having enough bus drivers. We are also encouraging, there's a couple other employees in the school that have expressed an interest in getting a CDL. Now, it's not a conflict for them to be paid by Harlow's because they don't oversee the contract. They would just be like a part-time job for them to work for Harlow's to do bus trips and all. But it's a little different for the superintendent. So brought it up for discussion of the board and get your thoughts on it. It's something I'm trying to offer to alleviate some of the issues.
For me, if there's an issue against Harlow's on the school's behalf, be it a parent, a student, or whatever, you are the judge and you're going to report that to the school board. But you're also an employee of the company. And for me, that's a conflict of interest. And I know it's not illegal. I know it's not unethical, but there is a conflict when it comes to what I understand to be the smell test, because you are both. And yes, you're not going to use the money, you're going to give the money back or whatever, but you both judge and you are employed by them. And we understand. So I'm not comfortable with that conflict of interest. Not that it is saying something negative about you,
Oh, absolutely.
but just from my point of view, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, and that's the reason I reached out to council, because I felt too like there was a little bit of a conflict there. And I wanted to make sure, first off, there's nothing illegal or unethical about it. And he confirmed that. But also, I got his opinion on it. And he said he could see it either way. And it's a valid concern, you know.
And so the council speaks to whether it is legal or not.
Sure, absolutely.
It does not speak to the conflict.
Sure.
You know, and like I said, it's not illegal, but there is a conflict. So I would rather not. And it's just to protect the school board.
It's a valid concern. Totally.
You would be driving only in the case that if somebody doesn't drive, the event has to be canceled.
The event would be canceled. I mean, I theoretically could drive a route if I had to, you know, if they didn't have someone to drive a route. But typically, it's going to be an activity, field trip, athletic event, something like that.
Well, I would be in favor of it as long as it is the choice between doing it and the kids not having opportunity to compete or whatever. I think that would take away this, I hope it would take away the smell test. I don't know.
Still there.
Morris, you bring up some good points and you bring up some good points. I'd actually like to table this until the whole board is here. Can we do that?
Sure.
And then just get Ryan and George's perspectives as well
Until the next meeting.
until the next meeting. And we can make a decision. So do I make a motion?
No, just
Table it, okay.
Right? Must we vote?
I think we need a motion to table.
Okay. I move that we table item 8E for our next school board meeting.
I second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to item 9, old business. Approve and deny amendments to policy number 3300, drug-free school zone.
So at the last meeting, it was suggested that we add vaping and e-cigarettes to the drugs list, and we had done that, and that's in your packet, so.
I move that we approve policy 3300, drug-free school zone, with the amendments that have been made to it.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to B, approve, deny amendments to policy 5440, school holidays. So, yeah, we had tabled this one last month. Randy wasn't here. So he's going to walk us through.
Yeah.
The
This,
process.
this affects the central office personnel like Lydia, Gabe, Stephanie, and our maintenance personnel. The school, it's already a school holiday, the two that want to be added, and that is Martin Luther King Day and President's Day. Those are already on the school calendars. Teachers have those days off, parents have those days off. Everyone except for the district employees basically have those days off. And it's something that Lydia brought up, we talked about it, and would like to give those, it just sends the wrong message, those guys not having the holidays when the others do. So, Gabe talked to Horseshoe Bend and Idaho City. We got kind of a mixed message from them, but they basically observed the holidays. One seemed to think that they do like on a comp time basis, the other wasn't really sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so. But then, obviously, if we change the school calendar and add those days back in, this becomes a moot point.
Right.
Because we'll make that the same for everyone, but we'll change this policy if we change the school calendar. But in any event,
What school year are we talking about?
this would be policy for any school year. But right now, the students and teachers have those holidays on the approved school calendar for this year.
Okay, so are we talking about this year?
Yes.
Or are we talking about future?
But,
This year and future.
yeah, because once it's in policy, it would apply, going forward.
You know, how many people, 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 maintenance people, 2 custodians, 3 central office staff.
So 7 staff total.
I'm not swayed by what other districts do. But these are people also.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, can I make a motion?
Yes.
I move that we approve the amendments to policy 5440, school holidays.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to item 10, executive session. Section 1, subsections B and D.
Executive session?
Wow.
That was just in case of that, and then there was an email about who's from school.
I think that's what we're going into session about,
Okay.
is to put that person back. Or take
No,
them off the list.
no. Yeah. Yes, okay, if that's why, then yes, we do.
Yeah, that's why. Okay. So do I have to read that paragraph?
Uh,
Okay. An executive session at which members of the public are excluded may be held, but only for the purpose and only in the manner set forth in this section. The motion to go into executive session shall identify the specific subsections of this section that authorizes the executive session. There shall be a roll call vote on the motion, and the vote shall be recorded in the minutes. An executive session shall be authorized by 2/3 vote of the governing body. An executive session may be held.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061, subsection B and D.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Morris Morgan, aye.
Aye.
Kylie Peters,
Burn
aye.
person, aye.
Okay, Kylie Peters, aye.
And Madam Chair, because of the information that we're discussing and need, can we ask Principal Lynch to come in with us, please?
Yes.
Because it does affect the school.
Dr. Lynch, would you like to join us in executive session?
You want the board clerk also?
And the board clerk, Dave?
I've done it. They want Julie usually. We're gonna talk somewhere. Can we not talk in this room? It's so cold. It's so cold.
Um,
That's why I had to look. That's why I was like. No, because there's. I set up a file.
We're gonna make signs. But when we agree, we're gonna hold up the other sign, when we disagree, we're gonna hold up the no sign.
Something
That way you know how we feel, we can't be our faces. So our face. It's the right.
And our groupies.
They're gone. They all went to talk somewhere else. Yes.
So, because no decisions are being made in executive session, you may ask if there's any motions coming out of executive session. Without any motions, you may adjourn.
Okay, so there's no action was made.
No, you can just ask for the motion.
Just ask if there's any motions coming out of executive session.
Does anybody have any motions after leaving executive session? Okay. I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Yeah, only 20% were on a Monday. That's what I
Of
was.
the behavior?
20% on the